and the Walter Kilgore Memorial Honor Guard. Please, another large round of applause. This is indeed a very, very special evening. We are coming tonight to celebrate the more than 4-decade-long career of Chief Gregory Dean. It is also, Gregory, a very special night for me because not only have I long admired your hard work, but I have been a family friend of the Deans for almost 50 years. So a lot of memories, a lot to celebrate tonight, and some secrets to tell. But before we get to all of this, I'd like to introduce some of the guests who are here to help us celebrate. So would you please stand as I call your name, and then you can sit down. Mayor Ed Murray. Former Mayor Greg Nicholas. Seattle City Councilman Tom Rasmussen. Seattle City Councilman Tim Burgess. Former Fire Chief Claude Harris. Still got it. Local 2898 Treasurer, Battalion Chief Tom Walsh. And Local 27 President, Lieutenant Kenny Stewart. I want to thank you all for taking time out of what we know are tremendously busy schedules to be here for this celebration. Now I would like to introduce the Seattle Fire Department Chaplain, Joel Engelbretson, who will deliver the invocation.
Well, I note that this is a very hyper-vigilant group of people here tonight, and with Chief Dean always reminding me, watch your surroundings. There is no requirement for you to close your eyes during this prayer. Let us pray. We give thanks to our gracious God, who has a sense of strategic planning, for letting us share a journey with Chief Gregory Dean, whose 44 years of service with the Seattle Fire Department we celebrate tonight. In this shared journey, we acknowledge our privilege to observe his professionalism, moving through the ranks to become the chief of this department. And we bless that leadership and that strength. And we bless also the strength of compassion as he knelt before families at the death of one of our members to offer comfort and encouragement in that time of grief. So may our joy be full, our memories rich, as this evening we surround Chief Dean and honoring and extending to him the signs of our love. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. As I mentioned earlier, I have known the Dean family for almost 50 years. Chief Dean's sister is one of my closest and dearest friends, and when I came to Seattle to attend the University of Washington about 40 years ago, the Dean home was my second home, and I can tell you that you could not find a warmer, kinder, more generous, fun-loving family anywhere in Seattle. So consequently, there were a lot of regular visits. I have a twin sister. We both were there on many occasions. And on many occasions, I heard a lot of funny stories about Gregory. Now, you all know Gregory as the polished, smart, distinguished fire chief. I know him... Stop wiggling. Stop wiggling. I know him, let's say, on a slightly goofier mode. So I'm going to tell you a couple of fun stories. And actually, these are from early in Gregory's life, and I think maybe some of what happened when you were very young predisposed the man that you became, right? So one of my favorite stories deals with Gregory's curiosity at a very early age. He was curious about a lot of things, but particularly homes, and homes that were not his. So early on, he was fascinated by his neighbor's porch. The porch was right across the street. So one day, he goes across the street, he walks into the sun porch, he closes the door, and I can just imagine what happens. He's enjoying himself, he's looking at the view, looking out the windows, trying out the chairs. Then he decides it's time to go home. Only the door won't open, it's locked. And then he turns around and the door to the house is locked too, because nobody's home. So he panics. And this is how he got the name Superman. Gregory punched his fist through the glass, climbs out the window, and runs home. And what we all think is that maybe that was one of the reasons he joined the fire department. The thrill of breaking in and out legally. Right? You also all know Gregory likes to present well. How many people know that? He always likes to look good. Everything is just fly, just perfect, right? Very fashionable. And we've always loved that about you, Gregory. Well, if you think that started when he became an adult, you're wrong. It started all the way back in elementary school, because when his school picture was taken, he didn't like it. So he had his parents, William and Edna Dean, take him to Kennel Ellis, which was a very well-known photographic studio in town, for a professional photo. So while the other kids had to be satisfied with the generic school brand photo, there was Gregory's airbrushed, professional. Gregory, you always had to be a standout, and you are. That's as good as I'm going to get. I'm letting you off easy. I'm not telling everything I know, because you can also tell a story on me. So we'll leave it there. At this time, I want to hear from some of the others who've come to celebrate you. I would like to respectfully remind our speakers to please keep their comments to 5 minutes. If you go a little longer than that, then I'll come and stand beside you. Still respectfully stand beside you. If you go a little longer, I remember the wrap-up from TV News. You say that. And after the wrap-up, you know what comes? You don't want to know that. It's the hook. So, I know you will keep your comments in our time limit. At this time, I'm pleased to introduce Mayor Ed Murray. Before becoming Seattle's mayor and taking over as Chief Dean's boss, Mayor Murray had a distinguished 18-year history as a Washington State legislator representing the 43rd Legislative District. Please welcome Mayor Ed Murray.
So, why do I think that the fire department is cooler than my police department? The police department gave me a windbreaker. You guys gave me a gray coat with a real badge. And back in the 70s when I was in high school, they used to have us take this test in the state. Find out what you should be. And mine came back saying I should be a cop or a firefighter, so fantasy fulfilled. And there are only 4 things you can do if you're Irish. You can be a cop, a firefighter, a priest, or a politician, and that's where I ended up. It is an honor to be here tonight, and I want to acknowledge the Honor Guard, the pipe band, and the chaplain for opening the program. I also don't have an opportunity since I'm the new person on the block, I won't say kid, but the new person on the block, I haven't had much of an opportunity to speak to so many members of our police department. And I want to let you know how much I appreciate and how much the city appreciates the risks that you take every day and the work that you do every day. And that was brought home to me, actually, in a very special way. I have firefighters in my family. My mother's from New York City. Actually, I have a relative who's in the Seattle Fire Department. I've got to remember that as well. But we were in a restaurant that I know, and the restaurant owner went next door in the village to the fire station. And the firefighters invited me into the fire station. And they wanted to give me a t-shirt. Not unusual. But they also wanted to show me the memorial for almost everyone in that fire station who died on September 11th, 2001. And I was a new mayor just a few weeks into office, and it brought home to me how important you all are and how important it is that this city supports you. So thank you so much. I do want to talk about Chief Dean, and I asked him if I could tell certain stories, and he said, remember, he gets the last word, which was a warning. So I won't tell all the stories. I've only been here a year, but I've learned some things about Chief Dean. But on a serious note, you've been a chief for 10 years. And last year when I became mayor, I asked you to stay, and I know that you wanted to move on. And personally, I can't thank you enough for staying. I can't thank you enough for staying because you've helped me be a better leader. You've pointed out things to me that I needed to know. You've been a great chief of this fire department. You have been a leader in developing its facilities. You have built bridges with labor. You've worked well with the council. And it has been really an incredible year getting to know you. I also want to thank you. Actually, the first gentleman who is here with me tonight, Michael, and I want to thank you for something else you did. When you were willing to go back to the United States House of Representatives and talk about why we didn't need the don't ask, don't tell policy. Thank you very much. So incredible leadership, incredible relationships with labor and with politicians, working to redevelop the police department's physical plans. What an incredible career. And he told me he wanted to leave. And Chief Dean and I are both Catholic, and I tried to use guilt. It did not work. But I understand that after 44 years of public service and an incredible contribution to this city, that it is your time to enjoy yourself. So I want to thank you on behalf of the people of the city of Seattle for the work that you did and the work that you will continue to do. And just on a personal note, to end here, one of the things I've enjoyed about you is your sense of humor. It's just incredible. And those of you who know him must know how important a sense of humor is and how great his sense of humor is. But really, when I got to know who you were as a person, again, I'd only been mayor for a few weeks, and the first person who always calls me when something goes on in the city is Chief Dean. I got a call. It looked like a mass shooting at Seattle Pacific University. It was a very, very difficult day in the life of this city. When I got there and Chief Dean was there, managing the situation, in control of the situation, keeping people calm when a lot of young people were incredibly emotional, dealing with the press in a way that diffused what was a very emotional day in the city of Seattle. That was an incredible sense of who you were as a person, who you were as a leader, and it gave me a glimpse into what your soul is like. So Chief, personally, thank you so much. So I know we have other things we want to hear from other people, and they're going to take this away from me. So I will end there, and let's hear it for Chief Gregory Dean.
Introduce the man who first noticed Gregory's talents and promoted him to fire chief. our illustrious former Seattle Mayor, Greg Nichols. After serving 14 years on the King County Council, please welcome Mayor Nichols.
Well, good evening. My name was Greg Nichols. I was mayor of Seattle. It was a real treat to be here tonight, not only to celebrate Gregory and his many decades of public service, but to see so many old friends and colleagues and be able to trade lives one more time. I think it's worth looking at the program that was put together by the folks who made this happen. And to look at the pictures over the years. I was mayor starting in 2002, and I never knew that Gregory had hair. And so that was an interesting note for me. But I think also, if you think about 1970 and 1972, when he became a trainee and entered class 24, that was not an easy time for an African American in the Seattle Fire Department. That was a time when those who would come forward were pioneers who faced some fairly difficult challenges. It took a lot of courage. And you have paved a way for an awful lot of fine people who have followed in your footsteps and those of your colleagues. So thank you. Sharon and I had an opportunity to go to Kobe, Japan, our first year when I was mayor. And instead of just, they're our sister city, it was the 45th anniversary. And instead of doing this celebration and that kind of thing, I asked them if they would talk to me about what they had experienced in 1995 with an earthquake that killed 6,000 people in our sister city. We talked about that. We talked about all the systems that they had put in place and that didn't work that day when they were needed most. I came home and I talked with the Seattle Fire Department folks about why. What would happen if we had that same thing here? Because someday we will. And I learned that 2/3 of our fire stations would not have survived the Kobe earthquake. And what happened after that earthquake was 197 fires broke out. And much of the death that occurred were the fires, not in the earthquake itself. And they had no way to put those fires out. And so we began an effort. In 2003, the voters gave us their trust and said, we're going to renew every fire station in the city of Seattle. Shortly after that, the fellow who preceded Gregory left as fire chief. I have these promises that I've made, and I look around and I think about how are we going to keep those promises. We've had 2 chiefs who were from out of town, and I thought it was time that we had one of our own as chief. So I asked Gregory It wasn't true in every instance or in every occurrence, but I think that time it was the right call. And Gregory was clearly the person who I felt could step into that job. And so I asked him if he would take that position on an interim basis. And he did. And he proved himself very capable as our fire chief, and I asked him to stay on. And I asked the council to confirm him, which they did, I believe unanimously. You would remember that vote better than I, but I think it was unanimous. And in addition to 44 years of helping to keep this city safe as a firefighter, as a battalion chief, as a deputy chief, as assistant chief, and 10 years as chief, Gregory Dean helped us to make sure that the future will be safe as well. My fire station in my neighborhood is about to get its investment. There's a little bit of a controversy about the temporary station, but that will pass, Councilmember Rasmussen. And those fire stations, on that day, if it occurs, and someday it probably will stand up. Our firefighters will be safe, and they will be able to go out and keep us safe. And we built a training center. We built a training center so that our firefighters can learn in a professional and first-class facility the skills that they need to keep themselves safe so that they can keep us safe. So Gregory, you are retiring, or at least you claim to be retiring. But the legacy that you leave in the people in this room, in the people who come after you, and the citizens of Seattle who will depend on the facilities that you delivered as part of that fire levy, thank you. And I thank you.
And thank you, Mayor Nichols. Well, before Gregory Dean took the fire department's highest spot, there was another chief who blazed the trail. Former Chief Claude Harris was the first African-American Seattle fire chief. And he served in that job for 12 years. And that's an honor that gives him bragging rights, since he was the longest serving Seattle fire chief. I think that deserves applause. Chief Dean, you just missed making that record. Please welcome former Fire Chief Claude Harris.
Glasses on so I can see everyone. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to everyone that's here tonight. This is a heck of a tribute to Chief Greg Dean. From this point on, I'll be saying Greg. I've known Greg Dean for 44 years, not quite 50. And everyone expects me to roast him here tonight. But I'm not going to roast him because, as it's been said before, he has the last word. Greg rose to the ranks of the fire department quite rapidly. And when he became battalion chief, I approached him and asked him if he would come out of operations, which all firefighters like to be in. That's actually responding on the fire engines, the E-cars and whatnot, and going to help people. And most firefighters don't like to come into administration. But Greg said, I'll try it. And he did. And I put him in charge of personnel. Then he moved into administration. And he took over personnel, the alarm center, training, finance. And he did an excellent job. Then I decided, well, this guy is working out so well and I'm having problems in the fire marshal's office. Let's look at becoming fire marshal. So I put him into the fire marshal's office, and he did such an excellent job there, they wanted to keep him. In fact, they wanted to know if they could transfer him some kind of way into the fire marshal's office. But I wasn't going to go for that. But Dean, Greg, I'm here tonight to congratulate you on the behalf of the citizens of Seattle for your outstanding tenure as fire chief. I'm here to congratulate you on your outstanding tenure as fire chief as it relates to city government. The mayor, the city council, and all the numerous departments within the city of Seattle. And we've worked closely with a number of them. And offhand, I think about the law department that kept our butts out of jail. I think about the building department, and there are numerous others. And then on behalf of the firefighters. I want to thank you for looking out for their welfare as it relates to safety and as it relates to labor and management. Now, Greg, you and I have walked in some of the same shoes over the number of years we've been in this department together. Of course, I didn't walk in the fire marshal's shoes, and I didn't walk in the administrative assistant's shoes. But other than that, we walked in the same shoes. So I can judge you and you can judge me. But I'm here today to introduce you to some new shoes. Over 30 million people are walking in these shoes. These shoes are called retirement shoes. And as you walk in these retirement shoes, first of all, you can think about travel. Travel. Now, you don't need to get over there with ISIS. There are places in the United States that you can go. I don't want you to get captured or get into any kind of controversy. You can stay active, and that means exercise. Not necessarily golf. We'll get to that later. You can get more into politics. Besides voting, you can get into politics. I ran past that. I would advise you to move ahead of that. Volunteering. It's a lot of people going to call you up and ask you to volunteer for this, that, and the other. Screen them well. A lot of screening. You know, you can look at some hobbies. I understand that you're a pretty good cook. You can perfect that a little bit better and invite me over. You can become a student. After I left, I went back and got my 2-year degree, so I'm a college graduate now. You already have one, you can work on a second one. Something to think about. I'm making these suggestions, but one thing about retirement, you don't have to do a doggone thing you don't want to do. Share your knowledge. You've got a lot of knowledge. Now, I've been in high schools, grade schools, the community. You can follow in those footsteps or not. You can keep working. There's a lot of things on computer where senior citizens and retirees can make a lot of money. But I don't think you need that. I'm going to close here before Mickey comes up here. But, you know, I've got since I didn't roast them, and you guys couldn't get any humor from that, I've got a couple of quips and some wisdom that I want to share with you. Retirement can be a great joy if you can figure out how to spend more time without spending money. One of the problems about retirement is that it gives you more time to read about the problems of retirement. Another one, when you retire, you must be active and social. Don't become a couch potato or a pumpkin or any other vegetable. Almost through. The worst thing about retirement is having to drink coffee on your own time. that one. A recent retiree says he is tired of retirement. I wake up in the morning with nothing to do, and by bedtime, I only have it halfway done. Retired is being tired twice. First, tired of working, and then tired of not working. That's not me. I've never had that problem. The only problem with retirement is you never get a day off. The other bad thing about retirement is you can never call in for sick leave. And I'm getting close to home. It gets to you when every day is Saturday. Every day. And finally, retirement happens when you overachieve in the area of experience. As I close, I have two gifts I want to give you. The first one is a picture of you, and Emmanuel Montgomery gave it to me. Ray Curlin, the public information officer, took the picture, and Montgomery and I were trying to determine whether you were running away from the fire or running to the fire. We haven't figured that out yet. So, let me get this knot out of here. I know gifts are later, but I want to give this now. Okay, Greg, you can come up here. I have another gift to give them. This is a Benjamin Franklin silver medal. Benjamin Franklin organized the fire service back in 1763 or thereabouts. Not the first fire department. The first fire department was organized in Boston, Massachusetts around 1631. So here we go. Benjamin Franklin now. Okay, finally, Greg, best of luck. We'll be out on the golf course together. And don't forget lunch. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief. That was wonderful. Former Chief Harris was a founding member of the Seattle Black Firefighters Association. Tonight, we are honored to hear from the current president of the association, Lieutenant Roberto Jordan. Roberto has been with the Seattle Black Firefighters for 36 years and with the Seattle Fire Department for 37. He is currently a lieutenant on Green Lake Fire Engine 16. Please give him a warm welcome.
Good evening, folks. And most of those that know me know that if I'm at the mic, usually I'm roasting somebody. But we're not going to do that tonight. Except for, I do find it interesting, if everybody gets their program, and just look at the back of their program, and it's almost a photo montage of Chief Dean's career. Look at his face when he was hired as a trainee. I know stuff is coming, but I'm going to be ready for it. The next picture, he's in the recruit class. I've been through some of it. I don't like it, but I'm going to handle it. Look at the next picture. I'm a lieutenant. When he's a battalion chief, then he starts thinking about, there's stuff harder than this. As a deputy chief, he's still smiling, but he's thinking, I'm headed up the road. Assistant chief, I'm getting closer. And then here you have it. Cheshire Cat. This is mid-laugh. It's not a smile, this is it's a photo montage of the chief. All right, for a lot of us, no, this is a celebration, but for a lot of us, it almost feels like a repast. It almost feels like a sad day. Because Chief Dean, he's alive and well, looks good, healthy, but for us, he's gone as our fire chief. And it was very, very appealing and very supportive when you knew that Chief Dean was up there in the seat. You know that if you had a problem with anything that was going on, he's going to listen to you and try to get you to the right person to get it taken care of, or even give some wisdom of his own. He had been dues paying, along with Claude, who started, dues paying members of the Black Firefighters ever since he got in. He's one of the shoulders on which all of us stand on. At the height of our of the Black Firefighters, we were 125. Now we're down to 62. So obviously there's some work that needs to be done, and with the shoulders that were there once again, just like with Claude, Greg is one of the reasons why we are where we are. We just end up getting 4 African Americans into the department, and that alone is something to applaud. One of the things that we're going to miss from Chief Dean is his balance. He's got a balance where he cares for the fire department, he cares for all the members in the fire department, he cares for our safety, he cares for our training, he cares for our interpersonal relationships, he cares for the relationship family, and if anybody here in the fire department has ended up in the hospital for anything, if Chief Dean is in town, when you become conscious again, Chief Dean is there. He's checking on us, making sure that we're okay, or he has somebody from his leadership team that's doing the same. Cares about community. The smallest things. Within the central area, we've got a little parade that we do every year. Chief Dean makes sure that he's there at that parade. Torchlight parade, he's there for the torchlight parade. All the things where he can end up sending somebody, he's doing these things himself. Cares about family. Well, I'm gonna let Khalid get to that. But when I came up here in 1972, went to the UW, Chief Dean's brother and I were playing football together. And Chief Dean's mother called me one of her sons because she thought that Greg and I looked alike. Why is that funny?
Well, thank you to each and every one of you for being here tonight as we do that look back. Having watched the Walter Kilgore Honor Guard and the Seattle Fire Department pipes and drum as they've grown, their involvement in our programs has been invaluable. And I must say, your being here tonight is humbling to me. Mickey, thank you for being the Master of Ceremonies. I am confused and a little lost for words. since I've spent my entire adult life creating trouble for you and your twin sister. I'd like to use the word torture. But I also must say this. I have a tremendous amount of respect for what you and Bob have done and your successes in giving back to this community. And again, I thank you for being the master of ceremony. Mayor Murray, you held to your word, so I can't do what I was going to do to you either. We didn't have the opportunity to work together very long, but I have to tell you that I've admired your leadership, your counsel, and your willingness to help the fire department in our times of need. And I would be remorse if I did not say this to you, remiss. Your choice of police chief was very impressive. And so we look forward to your choice of the next fire chief as you work with this talented group of people that you have in this room and throughout the department. His Honor, Mayor Nichols, thank you for the opportunity to lead this great organization. It was your leadership and vision that led to the remodeling, rebuilding of all our fire stations. But what was really important was that you and Sharon demonstrated over and over again your care for all the citizens of Seattle, and especially making sure our firefighters were prepared. It's been my honor to work with you, and I thank you very much. To our council members that are here, it has been an honor to come before you, to present budgets to you, to be able to have your assistance as this department grew. Again, I thank each and every one of you. Councilmember Rasmussen, I saw Councilmember Burgess, I saw Councilmember Bagshaw here. To you, thank you very much. Chief Harris, Buddy, Claude, for those of you who have never called this house, I probably left out about 5 names. We go back to me cutting your hair when you went for a captain's promotional exam, to you becoming the first black fire chief for the Seattle Fire Department, to your choosing me to a new position, becoming the first assistant chief of the Seattle Fire Department. I thank you first for your confidence in me, but I truly thank you for our friendship that we've developed. Thank you. Lieutenant Joanne, you have to look at me. Here we go. Lieutenant Jordan, from our trip to Jamaica to playing basketball up and down the coast. We can't leave it out, can we? Down to our sharing our loved ones. I have become dependent on our great friendship. We have not always agreed, but we have, because of our positions, but we've found ways to maintain our respect for each other. And as you always say, rock steady. Colleen Roberts, firefighter Colleen Roberts, Coach Roberts. That we agreed not to tell any stories. Colleen was my living shoe tree. I'd buy new shoes, they were too tight, Colleen would wear them, they'd fit the next day. When he joined the department, we agreed that we would not tell everybody we were relatives, allow him to establish himself for who he is. When I got called by Tim Cease and Andrew Lofton to go up and talk to the mayors about becoming the chief, I called Colleen to say, will that impact you? Colleen said, no, go for it. Colleen's the coach of Holy Names High School. He's the Metro and state champ a number of times. I've gained a lot of respect for him. But, Colleen, since you decided to let the cats out of the bag, I would just like to say to Station 2 members, I'm available to share stories. Saying thank you to the event sponsors, Local 2898, Local 27, the Black Firefighters Association, the Seattle Officers Association, and the Seattle Fire Department. Comes from the heart. Let me tell you a story. It was led by the benevolence of Local 27 and the President, Kenny Stewart, but speaks to everyone in the Seattle Fire Department. And this story has buoyed me and has been my guiding light ever since. During one of our downturns, our civilian employees were asked to take pay cuts, leaves, and our firefighters took up a collection to help lessen that burden that our civilian employees had. That moment, I recognized whom I was working with, and I have never forgotten what you did, and I have admired that for all Seattle firefighters, the fact that our family takes care of each other. I thank each and every one of you for that. There are many family and friends here tonight that are also the reason I stand before you. My daughter Morgan has flown in from New York to be here tonight, I think. Or is it the flight to Kabul tomorrow from Seattle?